Thomas,
Hey man,
hey.
good to see you.
Met you in person for the first time this morning.
Yeah.
We've known each other 2 years, has it been?
Yeah, a little bit more than 2 years. I joined your community in May 2023.
Yeah. And my community, for those of you who don't know, it's on Discord. We have a private server. It's called the Rebooter Support and Discussion Group. It's for men, for the most part.
Yeah,
Women
mostly.
aren't banned, but
Yeah.
it's all men who are struggling with some aspect of problematic pornography use in their lives, whether it's that they're addicted and they have been trying to stop but haven't been able to yet, at least not on their own, or they've had sexual dysfunction that stems from their porn use. It's destroying their relationships, their sex lives. And we come together, we have several meetings a week. We share what's going on in each other's lives. We ask and answer questions. And you joined 2 years ago. What was your first impression when you got to that group? Had you talked to anybody about this part of your life before?
Yeah, I had been in some other groups and I just felt that this one, I had known about you for maybe several years before joining, but I didn't know that you had a community like this. Like I'd watched your videos before, ones where you're also with Gary Wilson and other contemporaries about addiction.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace for sure. But yeah, your community just felt overall like the best fit for me. Like I enjoyed being there and the people were really supportive and still are. Yeah.
And we're going to get into the details of your story, but just high level, 1 or 2 paragraphs. How would you sum up your journey in this realm?
Well, first of all, I feel as if I'm someone with multiple addictions. I haven't ever really been able to handle certain things that other people can handle in moderation super well. I mean, from the beginning of smoking weed and drinking alcohol, like I always overdid it. And I used porn even before those, since I was probably 11 or 12. And I just did it a lot, thought it was a normal thing, as I'm sure a lot of people still consider it a normal thing. But more and more, it just I started to realize that, this is affecting my life in a negative way.
How was it damaging your life that you could tell?
Maybe just the way that I saw women, my abilities to have relationships, and just the compulsivity of it, feeling like you needed to sleep or that you're not able to do it once a week or something. You have to do it multiple times a day. And yeah, that just takes a lot of time, that could be used for more productive pursuits. And really, yeah, I mean, 5.5 years ago, I stopped drinking and smoking weed, both of which, I did excessively for a long time. And also quit playing video games compulsively. Like, I'll still play a video game here or there with friends in person, but I used to be the type of person that was just playing Counter-Strike and Overwatch like for hours and hours. So I really like in 2018, I felt like I was in my lowest, where I was drinking a lot, smoking a lot, watching porn a lot, playing video games a lot. And also I would go online, maybe forums like Reddit, and just kind of be a toxic person. That I feel that side of
You were
me.
a troll?
Yeah, like, or just argumentative,
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
troll. I wouldn't really troll, like just, trying to bother people, but I would get into debates and feel like my position was right. And that argumentative side of me I've left behind, as well as my other addictions, And so I really kind of consider it as like those were my 5 issues. But to be honest, the one that's taken the longest to quit has been, using porn in any form whatsoever. And I haven't used porn in a year now, so that's great. And it's thanks to your community. Thanks to people I've met in your community. Gotta say, shout out to Tahir, who I know is watching this. He's been a great guy. Really good accountability partner. Came out and visited me twice. Yeah, and I also have to say that using a software has helped a lot. I use Truple, and that allows my mom, who I have to say thank you as well to see what's happening on my computer and my phone. And that's really helpful because there's times where you just want to go look at something that's not quite porn, but maybe you shouldn't be looking at it. And other blocker software, it only really alerts if, you know, you're going on a website like Pornhub or something. It's like, okay, this person is using Pornhub, and it tells your accountability partner. But this one just kind of shows the contents of your screen. And that's another thing I wouldn't have found out about without No's community. So, I mean, it's just been really helpful. And yeah, I'm just really happy with 1 year off any kind of porn usage. And I'm getting towards the point where I really want to be, where I'm just not reliant on any of these things, and, you know, life is better than it's ever been, you know.
Now, a lot of us, myself included, we came to this journey because porn was getting in the way of our sex lives. Did that have an impact on your sex life as well?
Yeah, it did, for sure. I wouldn't say that I struggled a lot with PIED, like the way I've seen other people struggle with that, but maybe, you know, climaxing too quickly, things like that. Yeah, it's kind of the first time I've talked about this, you know, directly on camera, but I mean, I'm happy to do so.
Yeah, well, let me interrupt and say right
Yeah.
now, thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
I think
of
the
course.
world
Yeah.
needs a lot more people willing to talk about this part of their lives, this problem that.
And I intend to do that more. You know, making my own videos talking about all of these addictions, aforementioned addictions, because I feel all that struggle that I went through with them, you know, I have to be able to kind of give some advice on how to overcome these issues, you know. It's an important thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you started a new channel where you want to talk about addiction recovery and just living your best life.
Yeah.
What's that channel name and what's that about?
It's just my full name, Thomas Dente. I've only released one video so far, and it's about people who may struggle with using internet communities to the point that they're not interacting in real life. But I plan to make videos about all the aforementioned struggles in my life, and I hope to do something in the form of what you're doing and trying to help people and distill my knowledge about, you know, getting over addictions to help others the way that you do, you know.
Yeah, you've been through a variety.
Yeah.
And overcome them one by one.
Yeah.
For the birdie, par 5. Oh.
I think, like, I bought in a lot to music videos and things like that, and just the concept of being with so many women as being like the peak and the pinnacle and the goal of life. And, you know, really, I'm realizing that that is not such a fulfilling thing. It's a lot better to just find one partner who really supports you. It can just be kind of acting on compulsion and addiction to get you don't want to transition from like a porn addiction to sex addiction is basically what I'm saying. And I think that happens to people at times. They think it's better to be having real sex than it is to be using the porn, using porn in the screen. But, you know, there's a lot more to life than that, and that's not going to be so fulfilling as it's made to look in music videos and movies and things like that, you know. Yeah.
There's also a lot of people who have pseudo relationships that are strictly online. They might even be transactional, like Onlyfans relationships, camming. What do you think about all that?
I think Onlyfans has gotten popular really right after I recognized I have an issue and need to start quitting, or like need to quit porn. So I'm lucky for the timing because I never got into, you know, paying for OnlyFans or anything like that. But I will say, this is something I've kind of left out of the story, that, you know, for a while I was considering even making my own porn, because I was like, you watch porn so much, you start to desire what the actors in that content are, you know, getting, quote unquote getting. And you're like, the only way for me to get what they're getting is to create my own content. And I really was kind of at a crossroads where I was like, okay, I can go down that road, or I can go down the road of recovery and just putting this behind me forever. And ultimately, I'm 100% happy with my choice. I think that's I haven't encountered a lot of people with that same story in your group, but I know that there's men out there where that happens, where they've used porn so long that they think, well, I want what's happening in these scenes, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get that through real interaction. Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to go on Tinder and meet a girl who's willing to enact these fantasies that I've found in porn with me. So my only choice is to create porn, and it's kind of like a vicious cycle, you know? You become like, rather than the drug user, you graduate to being like the drug dealer. You're like, okay, using isn't enough. And I'm sure the same kind of pipeline happens with real drugs as well. Someone uses heroin for a while, and they're like, okay, well, I'm not getting enough heroin, so I have to start dealing heroin. And it's almost like that's a perfect analogy for what almost happened with me. I was using porn so much that I was like, I need to start creating porn if I want to get what I'm seeing in these scenes.
Yeah, monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, and then ultimately I cut it short, and I was like, no, this isn't a path I want to go down. You know, I'd have to hide this aspect of my life from my family, from my friends. It's not something I would be proud of. And I have so many other skills. I mean, I feel like I'm a competent musician, and you know, I'm an English teacher, and I'm making content about that. I have a lot of other content I can make about recovery, and all of that would kind of fall by the wayside if I were to invest a lot of time, you know, creating porn content. And I could never feel good about doing that, because I would feel maybe I'd get some immediate personal gratification, but I would know like financially benefiting from that is like graduating to the drug dealer. And that analogy, I think, was important for me going, no, I can't do that. And so I'm super glad that I never went down that route, even though I felt like I was about to. So yeah, that covers most of it. Of course, just quitting, I feel like my sexual interactions have just been way better than they were when I was actively using porn. I mean, there were even times when I was actively using porn where I'd be with a woman and I'd be like, she's not as beautiful as I want her to be, so I have to like impose this porn actress on her instead, and you know, that's horrible. It's not fair to her, and it's just not what you want to be doing while you're having a real interaction, like fantasizing about a person that isn't there.
Like, you've been dreaming about having these real life experiences for so long, and now once you're there, you have to be mentally elsewhere.
Yeah. So I can say, you know, after quitting porn, I mean, what we can say is that for 5 years, I haven't used porn like super excessively. Like, I really quit that around the same time as alcohol and weed. And what would happen is I would get 30 days, or I'd get 50 days, and then I'd use one time, and then 30 days, 20 days, and then use one time. When I say I haven't used it 1 year, that means I haven't used it at all in 1 year. And that's pretty much the only time I've done that since I discovered porn as like a 12-year-old. So that's, and I'm sure there's a lot of men who can relate to that, you know, or who don't even think.
And you're in your early 30s, late 20s?
Me? I'm 35.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's almost 2/3 of your life that you were using porn.
Yeah. And I was just trying to kind of get at that. I think that maybe people who haven't discovered communities like yours or recognize that it's a problem, they feel like that's pretty normalized, but they might not recognize that some of the issues in their life are, their sexual life and their relationships are directly related to that, because they're kind of, they talk with their friends, and their friends all use porn, and they don't identify it as being such a detriment to their life, you know. Once you've kind of hit that eureka moment and you know how it's damaging how you look at women and your sexual interactions, then you really do what you can to put it away. But I gotta say, it's been more challenging to quit than even alcohol and weed, like things that are considered to be physically addictive. And you know, I needed to find a community of people also dealing with the same issue like yours to get as long of sobriety as I have off of porn. And you know, I'm super glad I found it. If someone came to me and asked, how can I get off this? The first thing I would recommend is your community. And if they weren't willing to join your community, then you need to find a community. You need to be able to talk about this with people. And that's also a key difference between like alcohol and weed addiction. For alcohol addiction, everybody knows you can just go to AA. It's something that people aren't really as ashamed of. I mean, it's still something a lot of people don't want to admit to themselves that they have an issue with alcohol.
But they can say, like, I've been sober 2 years, and they get applauded.
Yeah.
Whereas if you say, I haven't used porn in 2 years, some people might congratulate you, but I'm sure a lot of people would just give you weird looks.
Yeah, because they don't recognize porn as a problem, or they... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you said it right there. And also, alcohol and weed, you know, if you don't have it physically in your house, like at this point, I can have alcohol in my house. Like I have parties and people leave alcohol over in my house that do drink, and there's no desire to go open that bottle. But, you know, in the early years, I would actually, you know, need it to not be in my presence in order to avoid it. But with porn, you don't really have that option. Everybody has a smartphone. Everybody has a computer. It's always a click away. There's more like, there's less, I guess, barriers to use than, you know, needing to go purchase these substances, you know?
Yeah, it's free for the most part.
Yeah, it is free.
Immediately available in unlimited quantities. Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster, especially when it's available at such a young age. You said 11 or 12 was when you started, which, as far as I know, the average is still 11. I was 9 or 10. Yeah, and that's a big risk factor for developing problems the earlier you get into it.
Yeah, and just we were kind of the first people to have access to the broadband, unlimited broadband porn, being the age that we are. If we were a little bit older, it wouldn't have been available. So we were also at the age where there wasn't a lot of resources yet about porn being an issue. There was really pretty much, I think there was none, you know, like at the time that I started, like
if
11.
There was, it was religious based.
Yeah, there was only religious based, and like, oh, you're going to go to hell if you use porn, not talking about the science of how it actually, you know, causes addiction and sexual dysfunction and problems in your relationships. There was nothing, there was no research about that yet. So, yeah, I mean, that is one advantage that younger people have. I mean, I do also feel happy to be born when I was, because I remember life a little bit before social media and a little bit before the internet being completely ubiquitous. But at the same time, now younger people, maybe someone who has having this issue at age 16, 18, 20, there's a lot of resources out there for them to get clean and to put this aspect of their life away if they so choose.
Now, you mentioned your mother is one of your accountability partners.
Yeah.
And for me on my journey, I used software. I used Covenant Eyes at the time, and that's a software that is a blocker, but also is accountability software that will alert people you've chosen if you are looking at pornographic websites. And I also asked my mother and talked to her about it, my sister and my best friend, and having those people who are so close to me and whom I wouldn't want to see the content.
Yeah.
That was a big motivator to just not consider it an option. But I think a lot of people are afraid to open up to those closest to them about this part of their lives. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I'd say it's not something that I immediately was just able to do, but I did open up to two of my best friends, one from university and one that I met after university, both who are just really solid, close friends of mine, as well as my mom and a member of the community who I'm most in touch with to hear. And those four people, you know, I can talk about it completely openly with, but, you know, it takes some time to, like, explain, hey guys, like, I have this issue. Especially, it seems like with my peers, it might have been a little easier, the ones that are my age, because even if they don't consider themselves to have a porn problem, of course, they've looked at porn if they're any, like, you know, male around my same age. And so they understand how it can be an addiction. The hardest one to kind of get it across to initially was my mom, of course, because she's from a different generation. Maybe also she's a woman, is like they might struggle with it a little less. I don't want to say women don't struggle with porn, because through the research, I've seen that a lot of women do. But at the same time, it wasn't as immediately understandable to her. She didn't take it like in any way, like, it was always supportive,
She
But she
didn't
just
shame you.
no, she didn't shame me or go like, "Oh, you're a bad person," or nothing like that. She's a really supportive person that I'm incredibly grateful for. But it took a little bit convincing to explain like this is a problem, because her initial reaction was kind of like, well, all men use porn, right? It's not a big deal. Like,
Mm.
people use Playboys, or like your dad used Playboys or whatever, and it's not a problem, But explaining that a lot has evolved since those days is also important, that broadband internet porn is so much more destructive than, you know, the paper-based porn that you had to go out and buy and face like shame to go buy.
Or have to go sit in a movie theater with other
Yeah,
people.
yeah. It's a big difference. It's
Yeah.
evolved a lot in terms of the accessibility and the extremity
Hmm.
and the novelty. Like that, any scenario you can imagine has been filmed, is kind of just makes it so addictive that you always think, oh, there's more out there. There's more out there. And over time, she started to understand, and she's just so supportive. And I know that not everyone out there can find someone in their real life, like a mom, a parent, or a best friend. And if that's the case, what they can do is find someone in a community like yours, because I am lucky that I have someone willing to help, that won't shame me for it, and that is willing to look at my internet activity, once a day or once every couple of days. Um, but I would say if you don't have someone like that in your immediate life, that they can be found in those communities, communities like yours.
Is there anything that's surprised you about living without porn that you didn't realize would change about your life?
Yeah, I would say that the thing that surprised me most was just that I am able to attract real women, and that this perception that I had, it's so sad and funny looking back, where you're just like, I really thought that I needed to create porn to, have sexual experiences. No, I mean, that's not the case. And once porn is like not an option for you, you still have your desires, and you still are
You're a lot
a
more
sexual
motivated to get out
person. So
there.
yeah, you're like way more motivated to talk to that girl at karaoke or bachata. I put myself in situations where I will meet women that before maybe I wouldn't have, because I'm like, well, I have porn, why do I need to go put myself in environments where there's women? And now I just meet women a lot more, and approaching them is not an intimidating thing, because once you realize that you've attracted them and you've performed to their satisfaction, like, that may have not been possible when you were using porn, you go, well, if I'm ever nervous, I know that I have the history of attracting women that I find attractive, and
Yeah, you
you
start
know
to believe a new story about yourself.
yeah, exactly. And so yeah, it's a thing where you don't have regret over it, but you kind of just laugh at yourself for having the low self-esteem that you had, because you're like, no, I was actually cool all along if I would have just put away these compulsions and
Mm-hmm.
kind of like leg weights of addiction that were dragging me down and preventing me from meeting like awesome people. Yeah.
Yeah, what you said about your mother's reaction of, well, don't all men do this? Isn't this normal?
Yeah.
Made me imagine a community where everyone just eats fast food. They have very
Mm-hmm.
bad, poor eating habits. Everyone around you is overweight and unhealthy. They don't exercise very much. They get out of breath, and they're eating the same food. And it's just, this is normal. This is life.
Yeah.
Until you realize, oh, something else is possible. You see someone living in a different way.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to see that because the majority of men are using porn.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult to know before you find information like this, well, this is actually probably holding me back.
Mm-hmm.
Like I did not make the connection, even though I consider myself a fairly intelligent person. I didn't make the connection until I was 24. I'd been
Yeah.
using since 10 years old.
Yeah.
I'd already been trying to have sex for 6 years and been unable to because of PIED.
Yeah.
And it took finally seeing Gary Wilson's TED Talk to make the connection for me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the moment when you realized, oh, porn is holding me back or hurting me? Or was it just always in the back of your mind that you knew it was like junk food?
I think it took a while. I mean, I think, well, I think I would start encountering the concept of like there were no FAP communities and porn-free communities. And probably when I first encountered those communities on the internet, it was like with disdain or like, these guys are crazy. And I know that a lot of people still, when they come across communities like that, have those perceptions of
Sure.
them. They're just like, oh, these guys are crazy. Like, why don't they use porn? Like, you know, because it's like they're in a community of everyone doing that. And it would be like someone in a community where everybody's eating fast food, encountering someone that's eating really well, and they're like, why would he, that doesn't taste good, that like green beans and spinach, like why would you eat that when you can eat Taco Bell and Pizza Hut, man?
Especially when your tastes have been trained
Yeah.
to respond to that junk food.
Yeah.
The green beans aren't going to taste good, but
Yeah.
if you've lived a healthy lifestyle for a while, some green beans can taste great.
Yeah, so I guess, you know, it wasn't like the first time I encountered the existence of those communities that it clicked, and I was like, oh, I have to get fully involved in quit porn. It's just like, once that seed was planted that those communities existed, that there's people that aren't using porn, that aren't like compulsively masturbating all the time, you go like, you continue to use porn, but then there's like in the back of your head there's like something that says maybe those guys, there's something to those guys, like they must exist for some reason. There was a point where I just realized that compulsive use in general is bad, and I'm compulsively using alcohol and weed and porn, and then I was like, okay, I accept this about myself, that I have this compulsive use disorder of all these things. I don't know if you want to call it disorder, but I compulsively use things.
Was it easier to see that compulsive pattern once you'd already realized, oh, alcohol is a problem for me, I need to understand why I'm using it, I need to stop? And then could you see some of the same patterns in your porn use?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And just because, like I said earlier, 2018 was the time where I felt I was maxing out on all 5 of those things, those aforementioned things, and life was really not good. And the way,
So that's not the path to a happy life?
no, like just nuking
Hedonism?
your brain with hedonism and dopamine, like I swear it will not take you anywhere. And you know, now I don't do any of those things. And it's not just the absence of those things that is the reason my life is so good. It's like everything that I've built, you know, it's not like the day you stop those things, everything is going to be great. It's just like all that time that I spent on alcohol and weed and porn and video games has been put into more productive pursuits that have made my life just so much better. Like, where I just feel better than I ever have. I don't know how to even detail all the ways that it's better, but
More time for the disc golf course.
It just is, man. It just is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were there other parts of your story that you'd like to share, or any advice you'd give to someone out there who's maybe wondering if their porn use is a problem?
Yeah, I would just say if you're using porn frequently, if you feel like you're unable to get real relationships to your satisfaction, it might be time to make some changes and to quit using so compulsively. Yeah, I don't know.
Great, man.
Yeah.
Ready for the back 15?
Yeah, I'm ready to play some more disc. Let's
do
go.
it.
All right.
Till next time.
All right.